couple more pages to this display. I'm going to show you some results on the laptop. So these are the values coming in from the serial cable connected to the MegaSquirt box. So we're going to look at TCC PWM lock and the gear. So what I've been able to do is I added an extra 2 screens. So that shows front and rear wheel speed, gear, torque converter lock, and throttle position. So I can go one more screen and I can put the transmission into manual mode. So for instance, if I put the transmission into drive, we're still in first gear. So I can come over here and hit manual mode. There we go, manual mode. So now it manually shifts the transmission into third using the hydraulics. And then if we look at this TC PW lock, when I come over here and if I hit this button, it'll lock the converter and it'll stall the motor, which tells me that the converter lock is working. There we go. There we go. So that's what I've been working on for the last like 2 days, kind of. Yesterday a little bit, and then most of all of today, sorting out how to get the serial messages from the display over to the dash module. And then converting those messages into the appropriate CAN message to send back to the MegaSquirt. So the way that MegaSquirt works has a 29-bit header ID that says, who am I sending to, which table, and then which offset within that table am I trying to send data to. So what I'm able to do now is by sending serial commands from the display into the Tensi board, where that sorts out the CAN messaging, I'm able to say, hey, I want to write a specific value to the specific table and a specific offset to put the transmission into manual mode. So what we're actually doing is writing to a location in a flash page of RAM, maybe not RAM, into a non-volatile memory location, and we're changing it. And when you do that, the transmission code samples those occasionally to see what their status or the state is, and then it makes decisions based on that. So I'm able to go in and say, hey, we want to be in manual mode and we want to lock or unlock the converter. So the idea behind all of this is if you go to a chassis dyno, when you put your car on the chassis dyno, I can just put it in drive, toggle over to the appropriate page, and then select manual mode, select the gear I want, and then lock the converter, specifically say third gear, and then do my pulls. And then when I'm done, I can put it back into auto mode and drive off the dyno. So what I was doing before is I'd have to have the laptop with me, and I'd have to manually go in to the settings and change it through the laptop to do the same thing. So the laptop does the exact same thing with the INI file. You tell it, hey, I need to change these settings, this 8-bit value in this table, in this offset within that table. And when you do all that, you then hit the burn button and it permanently stores those. So what I think I'm doing is the ECU actually moves those values over to RAM and accesses them through RAM. And then when you're done and you hit burn, it then takes those values and writes them over the flash address. I believe that's how that works. There is a command that I can send over the CAN bus that says, hey, burn this value. So I might incorporate that next. So what will happen is I'll be able to make the changes, and then as you back out of those settings, it will, in the end, it will write the old value back to it and burn it back into the correct value, the correct setting, which will just be my PWM closed loop control along with 4R70W solenoid pattern, and it will should just work like normal, hopefully. So there we have it.